by the slower road, right, to get to Durgapur. What I'm saying is that we as publishers should charge for priority access to our content. So if I run a blog, suppose if you run a blog, you should be able to tell the search engine, hey, if as soon as I write a blog, if you want to be able to read it, if your robots want to be able to read it, then that's going to cost you $1. But if you're willing to read it after 24 hours, that's not going to cost you money. And the hypothesis is that now that the market is oligopoly, Google and Bing will bid to read your blog immediately, because the sooner they can read your blog, the sooner they can include it in the index, the better the search engine becomes when somebody searches for something that you've written about, right? So I'm not talking about selling the content, I'm talking about selling the right to use my highway to reach my content. I'm selling the right to use my fastest servers to read my content. I'm not selling the content per se. And everybody can go to Durgapur. If you're not even willing to pay the toll and not take the highway, you can take the train and spend 4-6 hours instead of 3 hours to get to Durgapur. Same idea. If you want to read the content right now, you pay me $1. If you want to read the content after 24 hours, it's free. So that's one. And your second question was, how do we implement it technically? Now, technically, that's very simple, right? Like whenever, Google comes and, say, Google and Bing, you've written a blog post about the weather in Calcutta today, right? Or you tweeted about if it's raining in Calcutta today. And I want to be, and Google and Bing both want to read it. And Bing's paid you $1 to have real-time access to your content. And Google says, you know what, I'm Google God, I'm not going to pay you the money. Then what do? You can, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience know the answer, but I'll still say it. Whenever a search engine comes and reads your content, they tell you their user agent, they tell you who they are. Google will tell you they're Google bot. Bing will tell you they're the Bing bot. And if it's the Google bot, you just tell them, 3 or 2, move temporarily, come back after 24 hours. And if it's the Bing bot, you let them read it. So, you know who the bot is, and you just send the right HTML header, and they have to obey those rules. So, law and economics are very closely related. And in the economics, there's this concept of property rights, So, in any capitalistic country or state, there's the idea of property rights. The idea of property rights say that what is mine, I can charge people to come into and access what is mine, right? So if I own a home, and if you want to come live in that home, you got to pay me rent. Similarly, if I have a website, which is my property, if you want to come and read that content, I don't know why it should be free anymore. It's your property, right? A blog that you wrote, it's your property. Why should Google and Microsoft and Bing be able to read it for free? The idea is, till today, Google was saying, well, I'll read it for free because I send you visitors and nobody else can send you visitors. But it's changed now. Now both Google and Bing can send me visitors. So let them bid to be able to read my content immediately versus after 24 hours.
Hello, sir. This is Shabdoshi.
Hi.
Suppose if somebody wants to buy, say Google or Bing decides to buy blog content, what do you think would be the basis for buying a blog's content? And is it possible with the current technological progress that we have made to automate the process of choosing the quality blogs and make them searchable? What would be the basis for people to buy a blog or a content? How would they decide what automators?
Okay, so thank you for asking the question once again. Asking the second question is slightly easier than asking the first question, but thanks anyway. So this is what I understand from your question. Your question was, you were talking about what would be the process of buying the content. That was question number one. And do the current technologies allow this to be implemented? So again, I'm known for my short temper, so I get really angry if you guys keep saying buying the content. Nobody is talking about buying the content. We are talking about priority access to the content. So no, Google and Bing are not going to buy the content on your blog. They're just going to buy priority access to that content. By priority access, I mean who can get that content in their index as soon as you write it, and who can get the content in the index after 24 hours. They're not buying your content. They're only buying priority access to your content. Okay. So hopefully the next question we talk about buying priority access to the content instead of buying the content. Okay. So if your question is, at what price will they buy it? So the price that they'll buy it should be an auction model, right? Because what does an auction do? An auction is a price discovery engine, right? It discovers the price of anything, of a product, of a service. So what I'm planning to do is, before I go into what I'm planning to do, it should be an auction engine. That's how you discover the price of something. So, and do we have technologies today to make it possible? I think eBay is a great auction engine. It's a great price discovery mechanism. So I can actually go to eBay and say, hey, if you want to read my website, ourcommunitypower.com, or any of its sub-forums like Debt Consolidation Care, Mortgage Fit, Trade Magic, or AMPM, Insure, the 4 communities I run, bid for priority access versus 24-hour access, okay? And guess what? I don't think I'm not a big guy enough. I'm not a big publisher. I'm not a big community guy. So I don't think Google or Bing will start bidding at me. But if New York Times went and made this auction on eBay that, hey, if you want immediate, as soon as my reporter publishes an article, you want to be able to read that article with your robots, bid for how much will you be willing to pay. And I'm sure Bing and Google will start the bidding war. Once they start the bidding war, you come to the price discovery mechanism comes into play, and you get to the price of that product, right? Just the way Google makes, internet visitors click on ads, and the companies have to pay Google for those clicks in an auction model, so that clicks get valued at whatever is the price in the market. So Google doesn't need to set the price. It's the auction model that sets the price. So I think eBay is a great price discovery mechanism. I'm, just a way to see what happens. I'm planning to put my forums or my community up on eBay for priority access and see if Google and Bing will bid for it. If a guy bets even $1, believe me, if you want to talk about debt, if you are searching for any content related to debt in America, my community is the best. And if somebody's talking about a collection agency, and if Bing gets to include that content now, and Google gets to include that content after 24 hours, the value of the Bing search engine is starting to get better in the eyes of the end consumer. And so to answer your 2 questions, what would be the process to discover the price of priority access to the content? I think the process would be an auction model, and I'm planning to try it out with my own communities. And your second question, do we have the model, do we have the technologies today to implement it? I think we certainly do have the technologies today to implement it. In eBay, we have a great auction engine platform, and, I'm sure there are at least 5 people in this audience who can write the code to check what is the user agent and either send a 302 that the content has been moved temporarily to one of the, to say Google bot, and give access to Amazon bot immediately. And I'm sure 5 people in this audience can do it in around 10 minutes. So I think the technology is in place. I think the market has changed, that now we have an oligopoly. So I think it should be interesting, So yeah, thank you once again for everyone coming here. And I've always thought Bay was better than Calcutta because Calcutta didn't have these meets. But I'm so happy to see this happen. So thank you once again. Thank you.